Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. This is a video on monthly policy review, also known as MPR, and this MPR is released by PRS Legislative Research every month, and I'll be discussing MPR for the month of May 2022. So whatever news that were reported for the entire month is released at the end of this month, right? So before I proceed, just to tell you a brief about the PRS Legislative Research. It was founded in 2005. It's an independent research initiative which aims to strengthen the legislative process by making it better informed, more transparent and participatory. So this is based in New Delhi. You can check out their websites. You'll get some important insights, primers and other blogs that will definitely help you throughout your preparations. Right? Now we'll start a session, and before I start, if you're new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful for your examination, do not forget to press a like button. And starting with the session, that is first is draft e-waste management rule. Before I proceed, I just wanted to tell you that PRS is something which is very important for your mains and prelims examination. So I'll be looking into some of the most article that is again going to be important for the examination perspective. So draft e-waste management rule. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has invited a public comments in the draft e-waste management rule 2022, and this rule to seek and replace the e-waste management rule 2016. So first factually important point. Now, what is e-waste? No, this is a general question which basically hit the student mind. So e-waste referred to electrical or electronic equipment which has been discarded during the manufacturing, repair or reimbursement process. If you are using electronic equipments and if it is not working, it would be categorized under the e-waste categories. Now, what is Environment Protection Act 1986? This is a regulation. So the draft rule has been notified under the Environmental Protection Act 1986. It's a very important regulation. You need to be thorough with the details of this. Now, 1986 Act empower the central government to prescribe a safeguard and procedures for handling the hazardous substance. So if it is being asked in examination, which is a specific rule under which all the hazardous electronic products is being regulated, so the correct answer would be Environmental Protection Act. Now let's look into some of the key features of this bill, the draft bill. The first is the recycling target. The 2016 rule prescribed the e-waste recycling target for anyone who is dealing with electrical, electronic component, assemblies, equipments in the 4 phases. So this is an image to give you a comparison about the e-waste recycling targets for 2016 and the new draft route which was recently released by the ministry. For 2016, for the first 2 years, the target was 30%. Now for this particular year, starting from 2022, it would be 60%. For the third year, it was 40%. Now you can gradually see that this number has increased to 70%. And in nutshell, overall की अगर बात करें तो 7th year onwards या फिर इस particular जो नई draft है उसके मुताबिक from 2025 onwards, India would be looking forward for a target of 80%, right? So this is how the e-waste recycling would be proceeded in India, and a roadmap has been prescribed under the government draft. Now, e-waste generation in India, looking into the state-wise that is being generated. So total e-waste generation is almost 2 million tons per year that share the e-waste by states. So the state which contribute highest in the e-waste is Maharashtra, followed by Tamil Nadu, then Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Delhi, Karnataka, Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh. Right? So this is a chronology of state. It's very important even for the prelims examination. And e-waste recycling in India, the total e-waste, as I've told you in the beginning, it's 2 million ton per annum and 22% is being recycled. But the number is again reduced. So the government has set the target to take a toll up to 80% by 2025. Now there's a procedures or there's a certifications called extended procedure responsibility, also known as EPR. This is very important for the prelims examination. UPSC can directly frame a question on this. So this recycling target has been achieved through the purchase of the certificate from registered recycler, also known as EPR certifications. जो भी producers हैं अगर उन्होंने recycle किए तो उनको एक extended EPR की certification दी जाती है. This EPR certificate must be filed through an online portal, and procedures खास करके producers who do not meet their recycling target must pay an environmental compensation or fine that is being charged to them. Now, under the rule 2016, recycling certificate are valid for a duration of 5 years, and the draft rules seek to reduce it to 2 years. But every 2 years, there would be a renewal process that has to be carried forward. Now, the other topic or other news is draft tobacco board amendment bill, something very important for the prelims examination. So the Ministry of Commerce and Industry has released the draft Tobacco Board Amendment Bill. The bill proposes to amend the Tobacco Board Act 1975, and this act establishes the Tobacco Board for the regulations and development of tobacco industries in our country. What are the significant purposes of this draft bill? First, it decriminalizes the offenses. Second, reduce compliances requirement, and third is to modernize the Tobacco Board. Now, some of the key features that would be again relevant for the examination. First is the decriminalization of the offences. Under the Act, certain offences are punishable with imprisonment, fine, or both. But to some extent, these include violating the prohibitions on the import and export of certain tobacco and their products. Now, in this draft bill, it proposes to decriminalize all offences under Act, instead imposing a civil penalty. तो इसकी replacement हुई है, इसको decriminalize करने की बातें कही गई है. It also proposes to rationalize the penalties for certain civil offences under the Act. Now, the other important feature is simplifications of compliance requirement. अब जो नई रूल आई है, जो ड्राफ्ट रूल आई है, उसमें जो रजिस्ट्रेशन की रिक्वायरमेंट होगी फॉर द वेरियस एक्टिविटीज including the growing, curing, that is a preparation for consumptions and processing in a virginia tobacco. What is draft bill के अंदर ये propose की गई है that they would remove the registration requirement for the curing, right? The act require a license for a construction and operation brand, that is phase of curing. So there are different phases that is involved in the tobacco manufacturing and even the producing. Now, the draft bill removes the license requirement for the operation of brand, that is a registered grower processing of the brand will permit to operate without a separate license. So this is in terms of simplification of the compliance requirement. Changes in the fee. The draft bill seeks to increase the fee, that is from the Virginia tobacco via auction from 2% to 4%. So this is the changes that has been made in the fee. And under the act, the board levies the fee annually on the sellers and on the purchaser part. And the draft bill even seeks to remove the requirement of equal levy. So these are the new changes that would be coming on the tobacco board. Now, if you look into the adult tobacco uses in India specifically, these are the percentage bifurcations. So for smoker, this is 7%. Smokeless tobacco user is 18%. Both user comprises smokers and smokeless tobacco computer. It is 4%. And for the non-users, basically in the minute level, it is 71%. Now, the other topic is National Draft National Data Governance Framework Policy. Under this, the Ministry of Electronic and Information Technology invited a comments on the draft National Data Governance Framework Policy. And this policy aims to standardize the collection, processing, storage, access, and the use of government data. So this is a main rationale before the bill. Now, what are the objectives? How this is going to be differential? So first is to promote the digital governance. Second is standardizing the data management and security standard. Third is building the data platform to increase the accessibility and government data. So this is the foremost priority objective under this bill. Now, what are the key features? Specifically, first, there would be Indian Data Management Office, also known as IDMO. This is something important for the prelims also. A direct question can be framed under this. So under this policy, IDMO will be set up under the Digital India Corporations under Ministry of Electronic and Information Technology. Some responsibility of IDMO, first and foremost, it will develop as standardizations where the data storage and retention would be there for the ministries and department. Building India database program consisting of non-personal and anonymized data that is collected by the government to encourage the private entities on such data. उसके अलावा publishing data for the rule for the data of data anonymizations. उसके अलावा managing data to data sets. And even IDMO will have a responsibility to frame, manage, periodically and review the policy. So this would be a kind of a nodal body, the apex body in terms of regulating everything. Now, applicability of this policy, the policy will be applicable to all government department and ministries of Government of India, all non-personal data, standard governing in the SS, and users by the research and startups. The state government will encourage to adopt a provisions of the policy and its standard. So this is how the applicability of the policy would be there in the due course of time. Now, other news, that is amendment to the national policy on the biofuel, something very important both for the prelims and mains examination. The Union Cabinet has recently approved the amendment to the National Biofuel Policy 2018, and the policy aimed to mainstream the biofuel and envision a central role of the energy as a transportation sector in the coming decade. There are some targets that has been set by the government. We'll discuss that. What are the amendment? So just to tell you, जो गवर्नमेंट ने इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग की टारगेट्स रखी थी वो 20% की टारगेट रखी थी बाय 2030. नाउ गवर्नमेंट हैज़ एडवांस दिस टारगेट और अब इस टारगेट को 2025 से 2026 तक मीट करनी होगी. सो 5 year बिफोर एडवांसमेंट वॉज डन बाय द गवर्नमेंट under the amendment. This is the first and foremost most important point to be noted. Now, align more feedstock in the productions of biofuels, adding new members to the National Biofuel Corporations Committee, and granting permissions for the export of biofuel in specific cases. So these are some of the changes amendment that was approved by the cabinet. Now, merit of the decision, what the government has decided. As per the government, the new policy would have more feedstock producing the biofuel, foster the development and Indianization of the technology. और नीति आयोग की रिपोर्ट के मुताबिक अगर देखें इसके इमेंस बेनिफिट होंगे अगर 20% तक इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग होती है पेट्रोल में. इट वुड सेव अराउंड 30,000 crore rupees to the foreign exchequer. And other major advantages include increased energy security for India, lowered carbon emission. We already have a target under the COP26, right? So better air quality, self-reliance, better use of damaged food grains, increased farm income and investment opportunity. So these are the broad arena and areas upon which the merits of the decision would be reflected. Ethanol blending status की बात करें इंडिया में, according to the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gases, India achieved 9.45 ethanol blending on March 13, and we have successfully recently achieved 10 pass के target. जो 10% के target है वो भी recent इंडिया ने achieve किया. I have discussed that news in our daily news and editorial analysis. If you have not watched it, do check it out. The government has also projected the ethanol blending would reach 10% by the end of this financial year, although this target has been successfully achieved. The center first announcement its plan for advancing 20% of the blending target, that is by December 2020. So this is the advanced target that would be looking, and it would be something that would be very important for India. Now, targets, as I've told you, by January 2003, only 5% target was there for the ethanol blending. Then 8.5% हुई. उसके बाद 2025 के लिए 20% के target रखी गई है. This is expected to have an annual saving of $4 billion. National Biofuel Policy 2018 के क्या क्या important points है. First, it called for intermediate bee molasses, sugar cane juices, sugar containing material, starch containing material, damaged food grains, food grain dumping, and other parts. So these are the increased scope of raw material that can be used for the first generation of ethanol. This is very important picture graph that would be relevant for your prelims. Make sure आप इसके जो important content है वो पूछते हैं. UPSC आपसे direct prelims में ऐसे पूछ सकती है कि कौन कौन से raw materials allowed हैं या किसके क्या क्या advantages होंगे. So this type of question they are asking on the conceptual basis. Make sure you are thorough with this. Supreme Court suspend the implementation of sedition law, a landmark judgment coming from the Supreme Court with regards to the misuse of the sedition by the government. Although this law was considered to be a colonial law which was used before independence actually, तो इसके repercussions को देखते हुए सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने फिलहाल के लिए इसके implementations पे, इसके regulations पे रोक लगा दी है. The Supreme Court has recently suspended the enforcement of the law on the sedition that contained Indian Penal Code 1860 में, and the court was hearing a batch that challenges the constitutional validity of Article 124A related to the offences. Central government has informed the court that it would be re-examining this process, but again the Supreme Court has taken a cognizance and they said that we will not allow you to examine it at this point of time, and we are cancelling Basically, we are suspending this sedition law. सुप्रीम कोर्ट के क्या डायरेक्शंस हैं रीस्ट्रेन करने की बात की द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एंड स्टेट गवर्नमेंट फ्रॉम फाइलिंग एनी न्यू केसेस अंडर द सेडिशंस suspend all pending trials appeal proceeding related to the seditions and it also permitted the parties whom a fresh case is registered for the offences to approach a court for relief and even for a bail provision would also be allowed. सो नो फ्रेश एफ आई आर अंडर द डायरेक्शन ऑफ द सुप्रीम कोर्ट ये कहा गया कि किसी भी तरह से कोई फ्रेश एफ आई आर सेक्शन 124A ऑफ IPC और द सेडिशन लॉ वुड नॉट बी रजिस्टर्ड इन एनी पुलिस स्टेशन पैन इंडिया. The Supreme Court has categorically stated and mentioned this to the central government. And a person cannot be incarcerated or charged under the currently non-existent penal provisions. Provision of bail, if this would be suspended, that mounts that individual who has been basically charged with sedition would be liable to get a bail. So under this order, under the section 124 cases, it become the rule that a person who is incarcerated with the charges can currently apply for the bail, right? इस समय अभी प्रेजेंट में ये पीनल प्रोविजंस थी कि बेल नहीं मिलती थी बट कोर्ट के ऑर्डर के बाद लाइक दे वुड नॉट बी केप्ट एंड इवन कंसिडरेशन वुड बी देयर फॉर द गिव बेसिकली टू इश्यूज बेल टू देम. Now, GST Council recommendations not binding. This is again major ruling coming from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has clarified that the recommendations of the GST Council are not binding on the Parliament and state legislature as well. और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बेसिकली एक गुजरात हाई कोर्ट की प्ली थी उसको उसके ऑर्डर को भी अपील किया एंड सेड दैट द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट शुड नॉट कंटिन्यू विद एनी IGST और जो GST काउंसिल के रिकमेंडेशन है वो बाइंडिंग नहीं होगी. So in the Gujarat High Court, they ruled that the levy of integrated goods and services that is there on the Indian importer for the ocean freight would be paid by the foreign seller to the foreign shipping line. So this is a kind of double taxation and even the violence basically the this implication is something which would be mounting to the double taxation. तो डबल टैक्सेशन से बचने के लिए इस तरह की चीज़ों को सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कॉग्निजेंस लिया एंड इवन द हाई कोर्ट हैज अर्लियर हेल्ड द रूल. Issue of IGST on the ocean freight. The Apex Court has decided that confirming the Gujarat High Court ruling and the centre cannot levy any IGST on the ocean freight from the Indian importers. The bone of contention was that Indian importers cannot be subject to levy of integrated goods and services tax and the component of the ocean freight paid by the foreign sellers to free shipping on the reverse charges basis. So this is how it would function. Now, Supreme Court observations, the court emphasized Article 246A, which gives states power that this is under the Constitution and with respect to GST, that the states and union have the equal power, they are an equal unit and they can stimulate or they can formulate law, right? Simultaneously, जो enacting of law है वो 246 के अंदर दोनों को दी गई है states और central government. Under Article 219A, it is constituting a GST council envisions that neither the state nor the central government actually dependent on their order. So their basically advice is recommendatory in nature, not a mandatory one. The parliament and the state legislature impose simultaneously power to legislate the GST. Now the court further recommended that the GST council will be a product of cooperative dialogue, जहाँ पे यूनियन स्टेट दोनों के लिए एक अहम मुद्दे होंगे कि इनके recommendations को वो recommendatory nature में रखें. The GST Council is a constitutional body who is astute to advise recommending the GST related issues. The legal experts said that the judgment might change the landscape of the GST provisions, which is subject to judicial review. And even the GST Council called for a cooperative federalism. Even the GST, which was envisaged in 2017, called for one nation, one tax. और सेस की अगर बात करें तो गवर्नमेंट ने कहा था कि 5 years तक जो भी शॉर्टफॉल होंगी उसके सेस के तौर पे स्टेट्स को दी जाएंगी और रीसेंट में अभी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने सारी जो पेंडिंग सेस है वो हर स्टेट्स के ड्यू को क्लियर किया है. नाउ पीएम केयर बेनिफिट फॉर कोविड ऑर्फन्स. द प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैज रिसेंटली रिलीज बेनिफिट्स अंडर द पीएम केयर हु हैज लॉस्ट देयर पेरेंट्स ड्यू टू कोविड-19 और उनको स्कॉलरशिप दी जाएगी. ये प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने और भी चीज़ों को इंटीग्रेट किए जो आयुष्मान भारत प्रधानमंत्री जन आयोग योजना उसके अंदर भी जितने बेनिफिट्स हैं वो उन बच्चों को मिलेंगे. पीएम केयर फॉर चिल्ड्रन स्कीम. द पीएम केयर चिल्ड्रन वाज लॉन्च्ड बाय द प्राइम मिनिस्टर टू सपोर्ट चिल्ड्रन हु हैव लॉस्ट देयर बोथ पेरेंट्स और गार्जियन और एडॉप्टिव पेरेंट्स. उन लोगों के लिए बेनिफिट्स मिलेंगे एंड इवन दे विल गेट देयर एजुकेशन फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. इवन फॉर द हायर एजुकेशन द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट वुड ब्रोन द एंटायर कॉस्ट. 4,000 rupees per month would be arranged as a compensation amount for their daily needs. And even a sum of lump amount that is 10 lakh rupees would be there until they turn into age 23. कोई भी बच्चा जो 23 साल की उम्र तक होगा गवर्नमेंट कोशिश करेगी उस पर 10 लाख रुपए तक गवर्नमेंट इन्वेस्ट करे by their entire year of span, that is till 23 year of age. Objective क्या scheme की to ensure comprehensive care for protecting child in sustained manner, even empowering them through educations, empowering them through self-sufficient existing of 10 lakh attaining 23 years of age, ensuring their well-being through the health insurance. So these are some of the important objectives under the scheme. Now, online portal for children is also there. So the online portal by the government was launched to register children, and the portal is a single window system which facilitate the approval process for all other assistance to the children. So there's no intermediaries involved. An individual can directly register for the benefits that has been borne by the central government that is given to the children's. So this was all about for the MPR for the month of May. We have a lot more other initiatives for you like daily news and editorial analysis, IAS GAZETTE magazine which you can download from our websites, FCA, PIB, MPR. They would be shortly will be coming with the gist of YOJNA and Kurukshetra. So all this initiative will help you to sail through the journey of civil services. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.